Hi, this is Miss Leone, and I'm going to read to you the explainer, This is Your Brain. It says, Image 1, there are many different parts of the brain with their own specific function. There are times when these parts work together. By the Conversation, adapted by the Brain-Newsela staff, published on March 24, 2017. The word count is 825. If someone would have asked 15 years ago to write a short piece about what the different parts of the brain did, it would have been a fairly simple task. Not anymore. Over the last 15 years, the methods used to study the brain have advanced significantly, and with them, so has scientists' understanding of the brain. This makes the task of explaining the most complicated organ in the body, well, complicated. The structure of the brain is certainly well defined, and the more basic of its functions have been generally well mapped. The lower levels, such as the brain stem, regulate functions such as heart rate and breathing. The cerebellum is critical for the control and regulation of movement. More recently, it has also been shown to have a role in higher functions, such as cognition and emotion. In the higher levels of the brain, such as the cerebral cortex, more complicated functions come into play. Here, the relationship between the function and structure become less clear-cut. And there are two images you can open up to take a look. So if we open up this one, it'll show you some of the things that they're talking about. So here is a cerebellum. It's down by the brain stem here. Okay, and here are other items that they're going to be talking about in this article. Dividing up brain functions. The cortex is divided into two hemispheres, the left and the right. Each hemisphere has 4 lobes, occipital, parietal, temporal, and frontal. Brain functions have been traditionally assigned to one lobe and or hemisphere of the brain. These include functions such as vision, language, memory, and problem solving. And if you open up this one, you can see the different sensory regions. So here we have hearing is here, speech and writing is here, emotions, personality, and judgment are here, body movement is over here in the blue, touch and pain. This section helps interpret words and signals. Over here we have vision, and over here we have language. This division of functions has led to some confusion. The most popular misunderstanding is the belief that there is a distinction between the left, logical brain, and the right, creative brain. In fact, such complicated behaviors are not determined by a specific brain region or even a specific hemisphere. The idea of an almost one-to-one relationship between structure and function was largely a result of lesion studies. These were tests where a certain part of the brain was lesioned or damaged, causing impairments in a particular function. The results led scientists to believe that there was a direct relationship between the structure and function. But as methods for studying the brain improved, this approach was shown to be somewhat simplistic. Networked within the brain. Scientists now understand that complicated, higher-level functions are a result of a number of brain areas working together. These brain areas work together in what are called networks. Scientists know this because of methods such as magnetic resonance imaging, or MRI. It allows them to scan the brain and look at all the regions involved in certain functions. Newer methods also allow scientists to picture the connection between these regions. This is not to say that there is no separation of function throughout the brain. There are brain regions that carry out specialized functions, but they are now thought to do so in combination with other brain regions through network connections. To understand this, it helps to think of the brain as an exceptionally efficient rail network. Certain train stations perform specialized duty, but they do so in conjunction with other stations. They are connected and communicate through the rail network. Language and speech functions. Language can provide a good example of how this occurs in the brain. Language is often thought of as a solely left brain function, and while this is somewhat true, it is certainly not the whole story. There are specific regions in one hemisphere of the brain, usually the left, that are essential for producing and understanding speech. These parts of the brain are known as Broca's area and Wernicke's area. But the other, usually the right hemisphere of the brain, is also involved in language. It is thought to play an important role in recognizing and producing the emotional features of speech. Additionally, the language network involves a number of other left hemisphere regions. These include the prefrontal cortex, premotor cortex, and supplementary motor area. Together, these brain regions perform higher-level functions such as mapping words to their meaning. The ever-adaptable brain. While there are certain highly specialized regions for language, they are still part of an extensive network. These brain regions all work together to produce this complicated function. In addition, the brain is not fixed in its functioning. It is adaptable, which means that it can change over time to meet different needs. After an illness or injury, for example, the brain can train new regions or networks to take over the functions of damaged areas. So the different parts of the brain are not as simple as they first seem. Scientists believe it is a complicated relationship between structure and function that best describes what the different regions of the brain do, at least for now.